Well, I've gone ahead and added the baseboards, UV mapped all the walls, and added the materials for both the baseboard and the main part of the wall. There are a couple things I want to do before I take this all into Unity and see how it works. I'd like to get the naming conventions pretty much the same between the material and the object itself. So if I select this wall back here, this back wall of the kitchen, and press the N key, I can come down here and see that this wall is called Wall Back 002. You can see it here in the outliner. What I want to do is make sure that it's called the same as its main material. So here in the Materials panel, I'll just select that, press Control or Command C, and then paste this here. And for this one, I've got wall kitchen left and baseboard kitchen left, and it is kitchen left, but it's also living room right. So why don't I call this center instead of kitchen left? I'll just change that here. And naming is a big thing, actually. Once you get a fairly complex project going in Blender and Unity, your naming conventions and your organization is actually pretty important. So I'm going to change this as well to center, just so I know what that is. So I'll select that name from the material, copy it, and let's paste it right here. This one, let's make sure we've got this correct. This is wall living room back. Yep. And I'll just go through and make sure that all of the names of the walls are the same as the main material name. It's just going to help me out once we get everything into Unity. Now that I have everything named, you can see that I've also created a template object for the windows that should go here along the wall. I've just duplicated the door template and brought it over here to the window wall. And if I select that wall, you can see I've already gone ahead and inserted the edge loops like we did around the doors. I'll turn off this layer so we can't see the template, and I'm just going to go ahead and select these faces and get rid of these the same way we did the doors. And I'll also take one of these windows, select the edges here, center it up with the period key. I'll go ahead and press Control E and choose Bridge Edge Loops. Now with that still selected, I'll hit the P key to separate that by selection. Now it is its own object. I can then take that and select the edges around here. Scale them out a bit, SX, and I can extrude. I'll press the E key and hit Enter. And then what I'll do is scale out in just the Y and the Z axes. So I'll press S for scale and then Shift X to make sure I do not scale in the X axis. And then I'll just expand these out just a bit. We're going to need to do some extra scaling here. So now I'll go SZ and bring these back in a bit, so they kind of match the sides there. And then I will scale these in toward each other. So E, enter SX, scale them in towards each other so they intersect with the wall there. And there we've got a basic window frame. The pivot point is down here. Let's set the origin to the geometry. There it is. And maybe I'll just shrink it in just a little bit here. I'll hit S, Shift X, and then press the Shift key to scale in just a little tiny bit. Now I can come over here and hit the 3 key, the 5 key, the Z key, and now I'll just press Shift D and Y and move this over. Shift D, Y, and move this over. All right, I'll hit the Z key to go back to solid shading, 5 key to go back to perspective, and there we've got the basics of our windows. Now I've still got to put the double hung frames in, the windowsill here beneath the window, and ultimately I'll probably put some sort of blinds or curtains that hang down so we can't see out the windows too easily. All right, well, you know what we should do is we should go ahead and UV map these before we take anything into Unity, so we can include these along. So I guess I don't need these right yet. I'll go ahead and delete those. I'll UV map this one and then I'll duplicate it over. So I'll press Shift H and then period to center it up. And I guess I'll just split it out like this. Let's just press Alt and click this edge, and Alt Shift and click these edges here. Let's press Control E and mark seam. And then let's also be sure and remember in object mode to press Control A and rotation and scale. So now if we go to our UV editing screen layout and go to edit mode, let's select everything, U, and unwrap. And there we go. That looks pretty good. All right, so now that we have that UV mapped, let's go back, Alt-H to bring everything back, and then let's go through that process one more time of just copying that over. All right, so now let's give this a try. I'm gonna just turn on the first layer where all of our wall, door, window objects are. I'll hit the A key to select all of these, and I'll come up here to File and Export and FBX. I'll be sure and check Selected Objects, and I'll put this in my Exports folder, and let's just call this Walls. Let's give it a try. Export FBX, and there we go. Let's go over to Unity. Here in Unity, I will open up a Finder window, and let's go back to our Exports folder, and here's our Walls FBX file. I'll take it, I'll drag it into the scene, drop it into the Assets folder, and there it is. So now, if we look at our Materials folder, now that we've dropped that in, look at all of the materials that it's brought along, right? So let's drag this in. I'll just take this and drag this into the hierarchy. And there we go. So there is the walls of our apartment. Now I'll select that couch, and I'll just click on the green part of the gizmo here to slide it around on the floor. And I'll bring that over here and put it maybe against the wall here, just so we get a sense of how that is going to look. And if we take a look at one of our walls, I'll just select this one here. Click on it one more time, and that selects that individual wall within the FBX group that came in. You can see that within that one wall, I'm going to press the F key to zoom in and frame it up here. You can see that within that one object of the wall, we have two materials. So we've done this two ways now. One, we've brought in a collection of objects, each with its own material. The next one, we brought in a collection of objects, and each object has multiple materials. The next thing we'll do is we'll take a look at how to bring in an object with multiple materials and multiple UV maps. So far with the walls, we've just had one UV map for all of the faces that make up each material. What we'll do the next time, the next object we bring in, will actually have all one object, multiple materials, and a UV map for each of those materials. But before we get to that, I just want to run around our apartment and see how it feels. So I'm just going to hit the play button here. And once again with WASD and the mouse, I'm going to run around and whoa, really quickly. I'm going to run around really fast and take a look at how this feels. So if we look at our wall, yeah, that's not bad. Our windows, our door, it's feeling pretty good, like it's an actual space that we could walk around in. Yeah, I think this will work. I think I might want to adjust the speed of my movement here. So I'm going to select that player and come over here to the movement settings, and the forward speed is 8 right now. Let me take that down by half. I'll go 4. And let's see how that works. I'll hit play again. And that's a little bit better. I was moving around a little bit more. Now, of course, we can run right through the walls now, right? We don't have colliders on them. We can, of course, put colliders on these if we wanted. To do that, all we have to do is just select one of the walls and choose Add Component, Physics, Box Collider. And there we go. Now we can also take all of these and create box colliders for them all at once. So if I selected this wall, let's say this wall, and this, and this, and this, and this, now I could come over here to Add Component, Physics, Box Collider, and now we've got colliders on all of the walls. So if I hit play, and I run real hard at it, oof, I can't go through it. There we go. All right, so we're looking pretty good. So in the next video, what let's do is work on an object where, as I mentioned, we have multiple materials and a UV map for each of the materials.